What up, podheads? Welcome to the Podioslave podcast, episode 123. We're getting fucking old, and we're here to geek out again, as usual. I'm back in California. These guys are still in Maine. I'm trying to get them back to California, but it's taking a long ass time. So
it is. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're gonna geek out virtually again.
Hold up. Last time I was out in Cali, 2019, I was there. You no-showed my ass. So, yeah.
Ooh.
For a show, too. Yeah, okay.
Ooh.
We're hitting hard here.
That one actually stinks because I actually had every intention to get down there. My wife made like fucking stuffed shells or something, and I tried to eat food really quick and then race down there, and then obviously I was stuffed like a stuffed shell, and I was like,
that's a new one, blaming the stuffed shells.
Yeah.
I might use that one.
Yeah, save that. You can use that. As an Italian, I might use that too.
it works.
The other thing is, right before we press record tonight, Anthony was giving Nate a pump-up speech on how to, intro an episode just for fun, just to mess with him. And he was like, imagine it's 12:45, you're out at the bars, it's last call, you're trying to, talk to somebody that you might want to go home with, and Nate comes back with, "We're old now."
Got to speak the truth, man.
So are we old, or is the podcast old? Because 123, that's 2+ years at this point.
Both. We're both old, and the podcast is now becoming old. I mean, hey, good for us.
Yeah, in dog years, right? 2020, but now it's 2022. That's 30 years right there.
Oh my God, right?
Yeah.
30?
Lots changed.
Oh.
It feels like 30 sometimes,
That
doesn't
new
it?
math.
Yeah.
Yeah, technology has changed. Concerts are back. All our predictions were false,
Not all of them. Some of them were. Some were right on.
Yeah, no hazmat suit, but yeah.
I'm not wearing one of those fucking things. Fuck that.
Yeah, that was a gnarly time. Now we're here. Now we're going to shows, and now we're going to be talking about shows that we're maybe helping to put on in some capacity.
Yeah, well, that is a little maybe down the road for us, but something we would definitely be interested in doing, a Podioslave Presents type of thing. But yeah, we're giving you a little State of the Union tonight. We've been teasing the project. This is going to give you a little glimpse into that, and then some other stuff with us. But yeah, the special project boys, like, we've been working really hard behind the scenes with different interviews of people, talking to some all-time names that we might get into right here, and just grinding on top of putting out an episode a week. I'm not sure how we've gotten to this point. How are you guys doing?
I thought you were going to leave out that very key key point, which is we're changing the tires while the car is running.
Yeah.
And it's still running. Like, we're still pumping out episodes, actually in person. Nate's flying across the country
with a newborn.
Yeah, newborn babies, jobs, pandemics, fucking yeah. We are. We're like the NASCAR podcast. We're making it happen in real time. Drink multiple.
All right. I got
two
a
different.
Twist my arm.
two different things simultaneously. I gotta say one thing. It's hard. We're saying it's difficult, but it's actually way more difficult than we can even like describe in words, because it's a balancing act. It's like, it's already hard to delegate time, but you got to keep everyone happy too. So I think we're all succeeding in that regard, but it's we're following our dreams, right? We're that punk rock band that's moving from a small tiny ass club to like itching our way to that theater, and we're like, oh dude, I want to play the State Theater so bad, and I think we're gonna get booked.
And you just figure it out.
Yeah, right. Take it and then let the pieces fall where they may.
Well, because with us, you got 3 people, 2 time zones. As soon as you add a fourth guest, a fourth person in, chances are, I mean, the luck we've had, it's a third time zone. And even, sometimes it's 6 hours ahead if they're in Europe. But it's not easy for even them to make the time. So you throw that in on top of jobs and kids. Yeah, it's not easy, but here we are. And I think, I don't know how much we're going to give away tonight. I don't know. How much should we let the cat out of the bag?
Well, just to the last point on that, you throw the us three with 2 time zones, kids, family, jobs, all that, and then throw in a guest or 2, depending on what we've got, sometimes 3. And then you put in the fact that we have to, we edit all that stuff. The time zones are different. Sometimes, depending on the guest, and we've had a couple of fairly big names. I mean, Peanut, Sergio, Jesse. There's a lot of names back there that are I'm so stoked that we got to talk to, but like, when they say they can do a time, you just try to move your life around to get that time. So there's that too. That piece of it, you're taking time off from work, to try to figure out if you can talk to Sergio. Like, why? Of course we're here for it. That's why we do that stuff. But man, it's kind of wild. I never thought that I'd have a side project or a passion project like this that turned into something like that, where I'm like, yeah, I'll take that day off of work if I can to chat with Sergio of Quicksand. Like, fuck yeah.
That's so funny. That's that like discussion we've had on the podcast. Like, doesn't it piss people off if you're going to distract from your main gig to do a side passion project, a side project, and have that be priority? But now we can kind of understand that mentality, which is like, it's worth it because it's an amazing phenomenon that this actually came together. So why would we not shift things around to make it happen or make a go of it? So yeah, I guess the point being, there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into this, but it's 100% worth it.
Yeah, we love it. So, special project. It's. Do we want to tell them who we've been talking with and how it came about? We can do that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe talk the genesis of the whole project. So back in episode 104, we had Scott Alderman. So Scott, as you know, founder, creator of the Tattoo the Earth Festival. Back in 2000, when we chatted with him, he had just put out a book, if you guys remember that, The Caravan of Pain, True Story of the Tattoo the Earth Tour, which is a great read. Even if you're not into the music, the story alone, it's not all, the theme of it isn't 100% about the tour. It's about behind the scenes. It's about Scott as a person. It's a great read. I read it in like 3 days, and these days I don't read a lot of books, and I loved it. So we had that interview, completed that. When was that? Back in March?
April? Yeah,
April?
March or April. I'll give you the date. March 7th is when that episode dropped.
March 7th. So that whole conversation came up very organically for us. It was a perfect fit for us. Dropped that episode. And then a few weeks later, a month later? I don't know.
Yep, about a month.
What happens then?
Scott emails us and lets us know that, Tattoo the Earth might be coming back as a date, a festival day, which has since been announced. It's August 27th at Worcester, the Palladium Outdoors, and asks us if we're into maybe putting together a little podcast miniseries around that. And we were like, yeah, why not? Like, we could talk to some people that were around for the 2000 dates, some of the bands that were there, some of the people that work behind the scenes, and you'll hear a bunch of that next week in episode 1 of the behind the scenes folks. And then talk to some of the bands that are also maybe playing this date. And at the time of this recording, we have some of those in the can too. And, we're pretty excited that we've been able to talk to those folks. And I mean, do we want to spill the beans on the big one? Because the big one right now is pretty wild.
I don't know.
I think we do it. Fuck it.
All right.
We talked to Anthrax, guys.
We talked to fucking Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Scotty and Frank Bello. You might have heard of them.
Yeah. So pretty wild stuff. And, that story, the stories that are going to come out around that are awesome. It's about a half an hour conversation that'll drop a little later this summer, getting close to that date of the Tattoo the Earth Festival, one-off day in late August. But stay tuned for that one because it is a doozy of a half an hour conversation, and Scott and Frank were awesome. But we also talked to some other folks. I mean, we talked to Derek Green of Sepultura, who was on that first 2000 leg, and he had just kind of joined the band maybe a couple years prior. So we get into some of his history with Sepultura and getting, his legs under him and then going out on this wild tour. And, some other friends from around the scene that we've made over the years here at Podioslave. And man, I love that we were able to talk to Scott. And Nate, that was all you, finding that this book's coming out, this festival is something you wanted to go to as a kid when we were 16, 17, and then making that conversation happen. Twan reading a book in 3 days and kind of pointing us into the spots that we could figure out that make that conversation great, and then turning it into this. So I'm so stoked. This is awesome.
And I think the format's going to be 5 or 6 episodes. First episode, as we said, will be, original behind the scenes folks. Second episode, we'll get into bands from the first tour. And then from there, we're going to pivot to bands that are on this year's lineup. So if you've seen the lineup, you know what we're talking about. If you haven't, I'm just going to read the lineup. Tattoo the Earth, Worcester, Mass, August 27th, Outdoors, Palladium, Anthrax, a Black Label Society, Hatebreed, Red Chords coming back from the dead, At the Gates coming over from across the pond, Municipal Waste, Bleeding Through, Terror, Crowbar, Overcast. I mean, the list goes on. That's a fucking wild lineup, and some bands that haven't played in a long time.
Yeah, it's right up our alley. And just the fact that Scott chose us, out of all people, the fact that this all came together is very, very reminiscent of the book. You're right. I mean, you read chapters in that book and it's just right place at the right time. Just this immediate trust with Scott. He's an easy guy to talk to, but the fact that he's bringing us into his world and we get to talk to Anthrax. I mean, I don't think that would have happened any other way. And if it did, it wouldn't be this nerdy. Let's put it that way, right? This is like the way that this played out is like a perfect storm. It's like a nerd movie. Everything that we've ever wanted with this podcast, this is kind of the cream of the crop right here. Like we have been working really hard, but we never thought something like this would come together. I hint to friends all the time, like, yeah, like the podcast is going great. We're actually kind of working some industry angles here lately, and I can't really give away too much, but it's picking up steam. Let's put it that way. And this episode is really to spill those beans to an extent and say, hey, like we're here to stay, and we're actually doing the things that we actually never even thought we would do. This is beyond what we kind of ever fathomed.
Not so soon, anyway. You know what I mean? Right. I think it would have, without this connection, it probably would have maybe a few more years. I mean, Scott, Ian, and Frank, those guys, they're not talking to everyone. And the outlets that they're talking to, it's very, very tight company, right? It's exclusive. You're in the club or you're not,
And it's wild that we were able to have a half an hour with those guys. And that's not the only thing. There's some other stuff in there that's going to be really fun for you to listen through and hear about. And that tour is 2 tours coming together for that day. Like if you go to Anthrax's website, or you go to Black Label Society's website, it's not on that like tour flyer because it's its own thing. And they're helping kind of resurrect this. The brainchild of Scott Alderman, the Tattoo the Earth Festival. There's going to be body art people there. There's going to be tattoo folks there. It's going to be a crazy day. And, our plans right now are to be at it and give you some behind-the-scenes stuff, whether it be video or conversations with bands. That's the hope. And, that's to be determined. That's a couple months away now. But that should be, something we can give you, at least some photos and videos from that date. That's our plan. So it's going to be a wild day. It's going to be an awesome lead up to it, and we're really excited to give you all this stuff that we've been working on behind the scenes now for the last, 2 months.
And if you're in the New England area, or even if you're beyond, outside of that, check it out. The lineup is killer. Even if you've actually been to the Palladium, chances are you don't even know about the outdoors. I went at this point probably a couple months ago. Newfound Glory headlined Sticks and Stones Fest. And there were like 6,000 or 7,000 people there comfortably. You did not feel like it was packed. And it's in this big parking lot behind the Palladium. Food trucks. There's going to be whiskey tasting, 2 stages of music. So it's got the full festival vibe. Body Art Village. I think that might be actually in the Palladium. But man, it's if the lineup didn't sell you on it, the venue, the whole concept, the fact this is coming back, like there's a whole crew of people that remember the original as it just being this wild and fucking crazy thing. I mean, read the book, Caravan of Pain, and you'll hear the stories, from these episodes. Go to the show. Definitely go to the show. We'll be there.
Yeah, this is a very much so Cameron Crowe in Almost Famous type moment for us 3. But also for music fans alike, this is a resurrection of a independent music festival, completely left field of the corporate world. Although Scott's got a corporate background, like this was a risk that he took, and he's bringing it back to life in 2022. And we were shut down for quite a while. So I'd say it's equally a risk, but there's enough rabid fans, us included, that will be there to support this thing, to have it be true proof of concept that, there is an audience and there are people that are willing to spend the money and be there for it, because it's all encompassing. Like Tuan just said, it's music, it's art, it's it's whiskey, it's everything. And the fact that it's in our backyard, Worcester is a place that we used to visit quite often as music fans. And coming up, Palladium was a second home aside to the State Theater in Portland, Maine. So there's a lot of history there. And then just our relationship with Scott in putting this together, it went from an interview to like we kind of see Scott as a friend now and counterpart to music nerdery in every sense of the word. And his book is fantastic. In fact, we're going to be working with him on giving away some of his books to help promote this thing as well. So stay tuned for that, because it is a fantastic book. And I think anyone that wants to check out the festival and anyone that's listening to this series, you really get the full scope of what it was like in 2000 from his book. And it's as candid as you can imagine. So yeah, this is just coming together so beautifully.
It is. And peep our socials for that stuff, because there will be some giveaways had at Podioslave, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Go check that stuff out. But yeah, it's going to be fun, man. I'm excited to get these stories out there, because it isn't all just Tattoo the Earth, but it is Tattoo the Earth. Like all of these things that we've talked about with these different folks, whether it be Derek, as we said, of Sepultura, Myron from War Cross Movement, who played in the shows in 2000, the Anthrax guys who are bringing it back to help bringing it back to life, and then the people from next week in episode 1. I mean, we get stories from a lot of people that were behind the scenes. Naomi Fabricant, press liaison, tour manager from the original Tattoo the Earth. Kevin Lyman, who is, if you are a nerd like us, you know who Kevin Lyman is. But if you aren't and you're here for the first time, which is awesome, thank you. The creator of the Warped Tour. He's on next episode 1 next week. Mike Bellamy, who was in the room when the idea was created. He's part of episode 1 next week. And then Fran Strine, who, if you follow the Tattoo the Earth socials, you've seen a lot of his photos. And he was kind of making his way as a photographer from the Atlanta area, and then just showed up on Scott's doorstep, and his stories are pretty wild too. So check that stuff out. It's all going to be there next week, and the next couple of weeks we're going to have some stories around this kind of iconic, at this point to us anyway, and any nerd of independent music festivals and tattoo culture and that type of stuff. It's really wild.
So we hit you with the closer, and we hit you with some of the names to kick us off. There's also a couple episodes featuring folks for bands that we're not even going to give away right now. I think the Anthrax gets you excited. Derek Green gets you excited. Behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, we're not going to give it all away right now. And I think, have we even said what this thing's called? We're calling it Podioslave Tattoos the Earth.
You're
baby.
Right, we haven't.
Yeah.
Podioslave Tattoos the Earth. Scott actually came up with that. Got to tip our hat to him.
Yep. This is our nerdery summer camp. We've been looking forward to this all summer, and we've been holding it in this whole time. So it's a big
hard,
surprise.
Man. It's been really
hard to keep it in.
Yeah. We've hinted at it here and there. I mean, if you listen to last week's episode, I think, Twan, you found a picture of Anthrax in one of those magazines, and we were like, oh, Anthrax, yep.
Recognize those guys.
Heard they were big Yankee fans. I wonder who told me. They told us.
There's breadcrumbs. I think we said this last week. There's breadcrumbs everywhere.
Yeah, there are.
There's on our socials. There's a certain way that you could probably get hip to our future guests. I'm not going to give it away. It would really spill the beans, and then people would follow the blueprint. But I mean, between the posts and what we say, it's all in there.
Yeah, I love the inside jokes, even if it just makes us laugh.
It's all about us,
Chip.
right?
I'm sure Chip is laughing somewhere too.
Chip, I think, is on to the clues, maybe.
Yeah,
I feel like he knows. Chip, you know. Do you know? Let us know.
If you know, Chip, shoot us an email.
If you don't know, now you know, because I think we gave enough away for a big fan like Chip.
All right, so this will run roughly 5 to 6 weeks. We might have a couple extra gems from the conversations we have that would be an extra episode. But, we're looking at September, getting back into a regular swing of Podioslave. And in the meantime, it being now the middle of July, we're going to kind of look under the hood a little bit, right? We're going to see what we do good, see what we don't do so well, and we'd love to know your feedback. If you're listening to this episode and it's something, we're a podcast you've checked out here and there, hit us up with your feedback, good, bad, and different. We want to know, because we want to make this better for our listeners' experience, on top of the fact that we love doing it. So if there's something that you want to hear us do more of, something you don't like what we do, or there's a guest that you want us to maybe reach out to, like we would do all of that stuff. We talk to anybody. We love doing it. So yeah, we're down for a little peek under the hood of the Podioslave podcast over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we think about what we've done for previous episodes, it's either the three of us chatting, whether it's chatting about a genre, an album, a band names. We've done several episodes of that, or it's chatting with other people. So there's either, if you have an album that you want us to dig into, a band, we've done episodes on Green Day, Foo Fighters, probably others, right? And then certainly the interviews. I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface for like who we could possibly interview. And I think with us, the net is very broad and we're open to all of it. So if there's someone that you're like, I've been waiting to check on Monday morning when Podioslave releases an episode, I've been hoping for XYZ member from XYZ band, let us know. Unless it's Dave Grohl or someone of that caliber, there's a good chance we can make it happen or come close to making it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I think I don't think the net's going to get smaller. In fact, this behind the scenes kind of study and regrouping is really just a time to think about what's next, because this is a really pinnacle moment for us. I mean, the Tattoo the Earth is all encompassing for what this podcast represents, which is all industry. It's not just the artist. We interview people that were the backbone of putting this thing together. And, that's what we love to do. We were all obsessed with Behind the Music as a show back in the day. So it'll continue to be that legacy and industry insight that we all really are just super stoked on. And with that said, we want to continue to go further and deeper and learn more and have other individuals on here to talk about, the background and where it's going and where it was and, what's going to happen. And I think we will talk to pretty much anyone. There's really nothing's off limits, but yeah, we will definitely take suggestions. So if you have anything you want us to talk about or deep dive on or bands to interview, although if there's bands you want us to interview and it is a far stretch and you have a connection, we will gladly take it.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, shorter episode tonight. We really appreciate everybody that's checked us out to this point and everybody that shares in this nerdery journey that we've been on now for 2+ years and longer than that as friends and fans of all things music. But in the Podioslave world, it's been really cool, and to bite off more than we can chew with this project, and to have it be coming out the way that it's coming out. I'm really stoked, and I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish with that stuff. And I think you guys are really gonna like it. I think you're gonna really enjoy the conversations that we've had with these people over the next couple of weeks. And if you've got ideas, hit us up.
Again, nothing's off limits. We've interviewed singer-songwriters, pop punk bands, thrash metal, metalcore. I mean, geez, we could go on and on.
Promoters, photographers, all of it.
All of it. So hit us up and keep listening. We love it.
All right, more to come. Talk to you soon. Cheers.
Peace, potheads.